Holy shit, that was a good one. Don't worry, I'll still complain a little bit here and there. But real quick, right up top, I do have a couple of announcements. First and foremost, as always, there is a Discord. You're more than welcome to join it. The link is in the description. Secondly, if you're catching this video on the day that it comes out, I did drop this one a day early. It is coming out on Friday because tomorrow I'm having my celebration of hitting 1,000 subscribers, and it is a live stream. I'll be doing it 2 p.m. Eastern Standard Time here in the United States. Whatever that ends up being for you, wherever you are. Also, I did decide to go ahead, which was honestly one of the most stressful decisions I've ever made when it comes to YouTube, was, and I don't know why, but it was very stressful, to open up a Patreon. I mean, as of recording this, my channel's not even monetized, although I am applying for that as well. But even if I do get monetized, as far as I'm aware, Berserk content's not allowed to be monetized, so I don't know why I'm even applying for monetization at this point. But I've literally been grinding away at this. Hundreds of hours I've sunk into YouTube for over a year now, and I've literally got, I'd say nothing to show for it, but I have one hell of a good time. I mean, obviously I'm not doing this for the money, or I would not have made it this far. No, but seriously, I went ahead and I opened one, and as of right now, all of the tier levels will basically get the exact same benefits, just because I don't have enough content to create these ridiculous tiers with different benefits. So there will be multiple tiers, but they don't really mean much yet. And currently, as of right now, what I will be doing is, at this point, I'll just be releasing an uncensored version of all of my manga content on my Patreon. There is an uncensored version of this video up on Patreon right now. And all of that content will hit Patreon one day early. And I will make sure that your name is displayed on every single video that I put out. So if for some reason you're actually interested in supporting me and this channel, there is now a link for my Patreon in the description below. Also, this is going to be the last Berserk video for a few weeks until the next volume comes out. But don't go anywhere, because coming next week, Doro Hedoro. Now, what do we have here? Okay, hold on. Okay, so we're going to get to see the aftermath of Griffith saving the Holy See from the last time. And Griffith is basically like, I'm the commander of the Midland Army. You guys are in Midland. Therefore, you answer to my command, or just please stay out of my way. Basically, don't, you know, all this shit that you're involved in, don't get involved unless you want to answer to me. But he says it super polite. And I do want to point out real quick just how well this scene is actually put together, because the Midland nobles are being complete assholes. And Griffith is getting a real hero's moment here. As in, this is a typical scene that would be like a real grand hero moment for the hero of the story. And on top of that, there's not even some typical panel of Griffith giving some shifty, sneaky side-eye to let you know that he's the bad guy. The nobles are clearly in the wrong. He's actually taking the moral high ground in this particular situation, kind of, or at least the high ground that you would want the hero to be on. And his logic just feels like it's stomping all over everybody. That doesn't mean that he's necessarily right in the argument, although he might be. I'm just saying he feels like he's winning. And I say it's so well put together because he gets such a strong hero moment, and you know he's not the hero. You know everything he's doing is positioning himself for something bad, you know? But since you know the history and who he is, he can come over here, Miura, and put him in this situation to give him this grand hero moment, and it should be good. And technically you think he is doing the right thing, maybe in this scenario, but you're like, it doesn't feel good because of the history. But it's not, he gives you no underlying tension whatsoever in the scene. He knows that you are already going to bring that underlying tension to the scene, so he doesn't even bother inserting it into it. Does that make sense? But Farnace's dad's going to appear and start talking and giving counterpoints to what Griffith is saying. And for a split second, it feels like Farnace's dad's going to really just... I mean, this guy's slick. He is super slick, and we've already seen that at the ball, and now he's going to come out here and he's going to start talking, and he's going to start giving this speech, and he's going to start popping off counterpoints at Griffith, and it's really going to sound like he can take the upper hand away from Griffith there for a split second. You're like, oh, okay, this guy's good. I mean, it doesn't last long, but he's a tough cookie. But it ends the second Farnace's dad ends his speech with the words, the pontiff, because that's his trump card. And the second he drops his trump card, which is the pontiff, you're like, uh-oh. Oh, like it all comes, that house of cards comes tumbling down. And honestly, I'm so invested at this point in some of these scenes that the second Farnace's dad comes out and starts talking, I'm like, yeah, that's right. And then he says the pontiff, and I'm like, oh my God, I'm so invested. I forgot about the pontiff. And it was like 1 chapter ago. You know what I'm saying? I'm like, oh no. But the carrot shows up, and the pontiff steps out looking like he did one too many hits of meth. I mean, he's even got about the right number of teeth for it, too. But I digress. And then we get this panel, which feels unfortunate because up until now, this scene has been super serious and tense, and I'm extremely involved, and I'm extremely invested. And this particular panel is drawn with just enough silliness injected into it that I really don't appreciate it. Sometimes there are things that could happen in this manga that could hit and could hit hard. The pontiff coming out in this moment of tension and bowing to Griffith could have been a much more moment, but instead he uses it for like comedic relief in a scene that didn't need comedic relief. I mean, you could make the argument, but it was already established because that one guy did the whole face plant prostrate. Frustrating. It's just whatever. Anyway, he then gives a speech that declares Griffith to be their savior and the Hawk of Light. And everybody's happy and cheering, yay! And Griffith wins. Surprise literally nobody. Meanwhile, over on the SS Seahorse, Isidro and that night guy from the rowboat are practicing their fighting. The ship's crew aren't exactly sure what to think about all these new people, basically Guts and their crew being on their ship. But Prince Charming's just all in, and he's going to make them feel better about the new people being there, and he's going to get, you know, oh no, it's okay, and they're going to come with it, they're you know, but he kind of vouches for them and sets the regular crew's minds at ease. And inside, Shirka's teaching Farnace how to astral project. And this actually leads to what might be arguably my favorite panel from the entire little section that I just read. I don't know, that might be going too far, but it's damn good. And that's considering that I just read the section that includes this panel. But we'll get there. But Guts and Prince Charming are having a conversation when Casca falls in the water, and Guts jumps in and saves her, but he's being dragged down by his metal arms, so Prince Charming actually has to save him. And there is just so much going on in this little section. It sometimes feels like just, oh, or some antics happen on the boat. But really, it's so densely packed with character building for just about every character involved. All the way from just getting to know Prince Charming's character in general, all the way over to Farnace learning to astral project, or Farnace breaking down under the pressure of attempting to take care of Casca, and Casca's just not cooperating, so she breaks down crying, and Casca finally for once appears to learn something, and then turns and pours the water on herself to clean herself, or at least help clean herself, instead of just taking care of her harder for everyone around her. It's just very impressive. There's just a lot more happening here than just some goofiness. When suddenly Captain Hook shows up. Remember him? Yeah, that guy. And they drop the pirate flag. And then we get this shot of Prince Charming and this smirk that he has. And I'm just like, uh-oh, what are you thinking? And I'm not even gonna lie. This whole time, I have literally been thinking that this guy is a putz, a pushover, and literally a throwaway side character. But this one panel of him smirking when the pirate ship shows up, and all of the sudden, I'm just like, who are you really? And then suddenly he's just running around and he's barking orders at his crew and he's do this, do that, and he's telling Serpico, you guys get below deck, all of you down there now. And he tells Serpico, as he tells him to get everybody below deck, he says, on land I was constantly in your debt, at least leave the seas to me. And I'm just like, okay, Rod, show me what you got. and oh boy does he. This motherfucker dominates. And the pirates see the seahorse on the front of the ship and they realize that this is Roderick, the sailing prince of Ith. And this is just cool, let's be real. And this is probably the fastest Miura has been able to change my entire perception of a character ever. I mean, he has tried to do it multiple times now with Isidro, and it's just failed to land with me personally, but this lands. This lands hard. And what follows is the greatest pirate ship battle to ever grace the pages of manga. I mean, I don't know that for sure because this is literally the first one I've ever read. But if somebody were to tell me that this was the greatest ship battle ever to grace the pages of a manga, I would believe them. And I'm not even really a pirate person. Like, you know, if you were like, yeah, you heard about that new pirate movie coming out, I'd be like, okay. Like, it's not my thing, you know? Just not like something I get excited about. That was exciting. Never did I expect one of the highlights for me for this entire read would be a ship-to-ship battle that didn't even involve our main characters. They were hiding below deck. I mean, that's all I got. But anyway, now down in the bowels of the ship, Guts' fever is now back, and he's gonna have some nightmares. And basically the nightmares of his little doggy, that guy, but he's looking real fucking mean right now. And, you know, it's his representation of his anger and his rage and all of that, and it shows it chained up. So it's restrained and under control for right now, and even mentions that Shirka's had something to do with him being chained up down there. But one day, he will get loose, and he encourages Guts to just keep getting closer. Just a little bit closer to all your friends and loved ones. Get real close. Get all cozy and comfy, because one day I'll get loose, and I'll take it all away. And it's some dark shit. I mean, it really is. But Guts wakes up to the ship in celebration, because they won the fight. And we get some real crazy shots of Farnace's brother, like, scheming and conniving about stealing elves and selling them to rich people to Roderick like a madman. And Roderick's just over there like, yeah, let me know how that works out for you, buddy. And then he goes and he comforts Farnace up on the mast of the ship. And at this point, it seems like he's literally just genuinely a nice guy. I mean, it could all be for show, and he could just be saying, you know, all the right things because he's trying to get what he wants out of the situation, basically. You know, kind of like Griffith would be doing if he was in this situation right now. But it doesn't actually feel like that. It feels like he's just genuinely a nice guy. But those people don't really exist in the world of Berserk, so I'm not holding my breath either. And this whole chapter ends on this panel, and I'm not gonna lie, that was kind of surprising to me, just because of how good this panel is, to be quite honest. And I mean, you can't go like 2 pages in to any Berserk search online without seeing this exact panel. I mean, it just floods everything. I'd venture to say this could probably be some people's favorite with just how much people put it online, like shove it down your throat. And it's fantastic. Don't get me wrong. This is a phenomenal panel. I was just, because of how prominent it is online and because of how good it is, I expected it to come at a far more impactful moment than, you know, we're just chilling on the boat having some little chit chats and Roderick's up talking to Farnace and Guts is looking out the window. Like, it didn't, I thought it would come after some big Guts moment or some big Guts battle. No, it just feels super randomly placed. Like, it was not a climactic moment at all. I don't know. You know, there's a few handful of panels that you see that you're waiting for. And I just thought it would be placed in a different spot. That's all. But anyway, back at the Demon City, and that one guy's back. You remember that guy that I thought was going to be important, but then he was never important? And he's going to lead the charge on all of Midland's people getting out of the city. And see, I told you that I felt like this guy was going to be important. I just had to wait 3 arcs for it to happen. But between him and his efforts and the fact that everybody in the city is going to have the exact same vision of the exact same thing at the exact same time, they're going to have a game plan as to how they're going to get out and how they're going to get back to their fearless leader, Griffith. And Griffith is going to set out for the Demon City with a small group of armies, small armies, each from the different sections of the Holy See, seemingly working together with Griffith. But politically, that might not all hold together over time. We'll see. And do you remember that creepy demon womb thing that the king created? And he was dumping I literally refused to show it on that video. It was so disturbing to look at. But the demon womb thing that the king created to create new demons, yeah, that's back, but he's not making demons with it anymore. Now he's gonna get in it, and he's going to transcend apostlhood or something. He's gonna transform himself, basically, but he doesn't even call it transforming. He's transcending. And this is awesome. This is so dark. This whole next section is so dark, and it's just so atmospheric because, first off, you hear that he's going to get in that thing and the tension just goes to 11. Then he gets in it, and the first thing you see afterwards is the mist rolling out of town. And what happens when the mist rolls through? The people are literally dissolved by the mist, like it corrodes their flesh away. And you're just like, ooh, this is good. And now that one maybe important guy is going to go to the prison, and he's going to go start freeing all the prisoners from the prison, which is huge, by the way. And then once they've gathered all of the people from the town, or at least all that they could get, they're going to then disguise themselves as Cushion and sneak out of the city. Well, walk right out, actually. When just then, they're going to run into the Bakaraka, and they attempt to recruit the Bakaraka to join Griffith. And they have this whole conversation about it. And for a second, it looks like the Bakaraka are actually going to join Griffith. And I'm just like, really? That doesn't seem like something the Bakaraka would do. I mean, whatever, but really? And then I forget what they say, but they get to the end of the conversation and they say something and the Bakaraka are like, F that, we're out. And they leave and they don't join them. And I'm like, okay, that's better. That seems more like the Bakaraka to me. And now back at the demon pit, the king transforms. And this is literally awe-inspiring. This whole thing. It just starts with some shots of like the city's destruction as he emerges from it. A few slight glimpses of parts of him, followed by just reaction shot after reaction shot of these people seeing him for the first time. You don't even get to see him. You just get to see people's reactions to seeing him, and you're just like, this is so good. So good. And real quick, we're going to get a shot over to Guts and crew, everybody, over on the ship, and they can all immediately tell or sense or feel that something is happening, something big is getting ready to happen. They just don't know what. And now we get our big reveal of the king, the new god, I should say, the new god, Shiva, the one that lies outside of reason. And we're going to end this one on another shot of Griffith. And if I'm not mistaken, the massive conclusion to this arc isn't even going to contain Guts and his crew. They're going to be off floating somewhere on a ship while the climax takes place somewhere else without them. I mean, I don't know that for sure, but that's what it's literally looking like, and I think that's pretty cool. But damn, this was good. Like, everything, this whole buildup was epic as hell. I mean, and what a way to end this. Like, what a cliffhanger for me to be stuck on for a month while I wait for the next one to come out. That couldn't have worked out better. Honestly, I'm super excited that it ended on such a good cliffhanger, because now I have to wait, which is going to make it that much better when I finally get my hands on it. Because I'm not even going to lie, I was excited to take a break. I have been grinding away, not that there's anything, I love Berserk, but I've been grinding away on these Berserk videos for several months now. So the idea of taking a break and moving on to something like Dorohedoro, I was super excited because I've been very eagerly waiting to start Dorohedoro. So I was so excited to take a break from this, give myself a little Berserk break, and get started on something else. And now I'm literally just as excited to get back to Berserk as I am to start Dorohedoro. I'm like, F this manga shit. Anyway, rating. I have avoided giving anything in Berserk a 9. Basically because that's a pretty high number. And also the other thing is I gave the Golden Age a 9. So it's hard. I'm like, oh, nothing's really that good, right? So it's hard for me to stick things up there. I don't even care. I'm going to go back and I'm going to re-rate all this stuff retroactively after I'm done anyway, once I have a grand perspective on the whole story, not just bits and pieces at a time. But I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to give this little section a 9 because I really liked it. I was on the edge of my seat from the time I started to the time the book ended. It was great. Even the ship battle had me invested, and that shit blew my mind because that's not something that I generally would be invested in. Anyway, yeah, absolute 9. But anyway, everybody, thank you for coming, and I'll see you next time. I'll see you tomorrow at the live stream, 2 p.m.